Leafs,
NHL,
rumors,
prospects,
banter,
and everything in between.
This is the Shanaclan podcast
with Hobbs
and
Lugsy.
Welcome back to the Shanaclan podcast. This is episode 16. I am your host, Hobbs, with my co-host, Mark Vanderlucht, also known as Lugsy. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Like in this very moment, I'm doing pretty well. I'm just sitting. I'm back home in Kitchener. I am sitting in my room, sipping on some nice red wine.
Oh, we have a distinguished gentleman.
Dude, honestly, ever since lockdown started, I've become a total wine connoisseur. Red wine in particular. I'm not a big white wine guy, but I love red wine.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so like, do you have any like favorites?
I don't have any favorites that I've gone back and bought. I've just been trying a lot of different types of wine over the past, because I'm not when I say I become a connoisseur, I don't mean like I've been drinking wine to get drunk, but like I'll have a glass of wine with dinner almost every night.
Wow.
And I just have I just have whatever's in the house. But I went out and bought a couple of my own, and then my parents brought back a bottle. They were in Collingwood over the weekend, and they brought back a bottle of Two Oceans Merlot, which is very it's very good. It's not overly sweet, but it's very rich in taste. And I don't know where it came from, honestly. Like I just kind of one day I hated it for the longest time, and then one day I took a sip, and all of a sudden I just realized, wow, this is actually pretty good. It goes so well with a nice bowl of pasta or a nice steak or something. Like
I definitely agree there. Like I'm not so much a wine person, but like whenever I have it with pasta, like you said, it's actually not that bad.
Oh,
But,
no,
last night was my girlfriend and I's 3-year dating anniversary, and we had some sushi for dinner.
Ooh.
But we had the wine with it. Wine with sushi just does not mix. It's terrible. It's actually the worst thing I've ever tried.
I wouldn't do that. There's
It's
certain
like-
meals you gotta have red wine with.
Well,
but
yeah,
sushi's
well,
not
yeah.
one of them.
Well, like it's all about the palate and like the flavor combinations. The one thing I find really interesting, though, what I've come to hear about from my mom's a big wine connoisseur.
Right.
Apparently, the international wines taste differently than the Ontario wines. She can't have Niagara wines. She hates it.
Really?
She
I
hates
haven't tried
wines.
I haven't tried Niagara wine before. All the wines I've had have been either French wines or Italian wines.
You haven't tried
any.
Niagara College's wine from
I
the
haven't.
viticulture program?
Nope. I have yet to try it.
Bad student.
I know,
Student.
I know.
Where's the bleeding blue? Come on.
Is it? Could you imagine if it was actually blue wine? That'd be pretty cool.
Blue line? What do you mean?
No, blue wine. Like
Oh,
if
blue-
The color,
oh.
If the color of Niagara College's wine was blue.
Oh, like blueberry wine or something? I
Yes,
don't know.
exactly. True blue Niagara College wine.
Oh man.
I feel like that'd be enjoyable.
Okay, one thing though, I gotta get this off my chest. I feel
Okay.
good talking about the Leafs again. It's been too long. It
It does.
really
It does
too
feel
long.
good. Yeah. I mean, yeah. For our 6 listeners, school has just absolutely bitch slapped me in particular over the past couple
man.
weeks. And Mark, you know all too well that second semester, second year is just a shit show.
It's just funny that you say that though. It feels good talking about the Leafs again, and I can definitely vouch for you with school being too busy. But I'm always slammed in the first semester. I don't know what it is. The second semester is really where I find my footing. The first one is like, holy shit, everything's happening.
See, you know what I think the problem is that second semester is like we're after reading week, which is next week, we're going to be getting Inside Niagara going again. So naturally, Tom Otto and Dutch have just been fucking slapping us with ENGs to do. I did an ENG a couple weeks ago, and for those that are listening that aren't into broadcasting, an ENG is an electronic news gathering, which is essentially when you're watching the news, it's one of those, you know, when the host or the main news anchor goes, oh, so we've got this story on this, and then it cuts to like an entirely different production. And there's a whole reporter on the case, and you get like an interview and stuff. So we've had to shoot a bunch of those, and it's not really bad work, but like I had to do one
sideways.
Yeah, Ollie Williams. It's not too bad though. Like it's just I've done an ENG on why or what students are doing. I just actually did one for the portcoller and polar plunge going virtual. So it's a lot of fun. Like, I don't mind shooting the ENGs. It's just been super busy over the past couple weeks. Hence why our next pod is coming 10 days after the previous one. But actually, before we get into the Leafs, I want to take a minute to plug myself here. So if you follow me on social media, namely on Twitter or Facebook, I actually participated in the Ontario Polar Plunge. And I'm very proud to say that after I posted my submission, which was on Sunday, I set a fundraising goal for $200, and I'm proud to say that I have doubled it since then.
Yes.
Which is huge, because for those that don't know, the Ontario Polar Plunge is done in an event. It's an event that's done in support of Special Olympics Ontario. And it's, like I said, it's for a great cause. I actually talked to the organizer of the event. I interviewed him for one of these ENGs on Saturday. And I decided, you know what, like, it actually kind of inspired me to do it. Like, I was like, this is something that I want to do. I'm currently sitting at $445 raised. So I set my goal at 200. So that's over double what I intended to raise. So to anybody listening now that donated to the cause, I truly, truly appreciate it. Honestly means the world. I actually got a lot of contributions from people that I work with at the Hockey Writers, which is massive. Half these people that donated I've never met in person or haven't even talked to, and they were kind enough to donate money and help me push me over my goal. So thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone who has donated to the cause. I just think it's worth mentioning that my submission is still on Twitter, and if I recall correctly, fundraising is still open until this Saturday. So if you listen to this and you're interested in contributing, you can find it on my Twitter feed. It's pinned at the top of my profile. And the contribution is pretty funny, if I must admit. The Polar Plunge typically consists of dipping into freezing cold Lake Erie or Lake Ontario or whatever. But because that's not an option this year, I basically just got my family to fuck me right up. Like my dad dumped a bucket of cold water on me. I got my brother to pelt me with snowballs, and then one of my good friends, Lucas Tanner, who is a guest on the Shanaclan podcast at the World Juniors, came up from behind and shoved me into the snow. And I just got tons of snow dumped on me. It was the most freezing cold 30 seconds of my life, but at the same time, all for a great cause. So if you're interested, check that video out on my Twitter profile, and the link is there if you'd like to donate. It's all for a great cause, like I said.
Do you want me to put the link into the description of the video as well?
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Cool. Yeah, that'll be in the description down below.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We'll tweet it out from the Shanaclan podcast Twitter account as well. Yeah. So.
Okay, so
I will at least. I don't think you'll be able to. Sorry, man. Sad boy hours for Mark.
I wonder why. Okay, so switching gears though, it's time to talk Leafs. So let's talk Leafs. So, Hobson,
yes.
The last 10 days of not podcasting, we've seen some truly egregious games. We have seen something I didn't think we would have seen this season. I thought we were past it. I thought we turned a new leaf. Blown leads. And blown leads, holy shit. Holy shit. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I didn't expect that to come this year. But that said, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs and Jeremy Pottle. If you're listening, hashtag just leave things. That's a shout out for Pottle himself. 5-1. I don't understand that. I know it's old news, but I think we need to touch on that just for a little bit.
Yep.
Holy shit. 5-1.
Do you want to hear a bit of a hot take?
Let's go.
I firmly believe that comeback doesn't happen if John Tavares doesn't give up the puck that leads to that shorthanded goal.
Oh, probably not.
It doesn't.
No, because it gave Ottawa life.
Honestly, well, it did give Ottawa life, and it was just the most fucking lazy giveaway I have ever seen. One of them.
Yeah.
It has to be one of them. Like, I'm sorry, you're controlling the puck in your own zone. You are on the power play, and he just fucking flipped it up the middle right to Nick Paul, or not right to Nick Paul. Nick Paul got the rebound. I forget who took the initial shot, but
probably Connor Brown.
Probably Connor Brown. However you want to word it, it was a giveaway that didn't need to happen. He tossed it right up the middle with 4 seconds left in the period. 4 fucking seconds. And all of a sudden, Freddie Anderson's got to worry about 2 Senator players in front of him. And there you go. Ottawa scores with 4 seconds left. And all of a sudden they say, okay, well, if we could get one quick one right out of the way at the end of the second period, we've still got 20 minutes of hockey to play. And we know that the Leafs are not good at holding 3-goal leads, let alone 4-goal leads. And it just like, it was just such a lazy giveaway to come from such a high profile member of the team as well. Like the captain on the power play in his own zone. Like, I don't think that comeback happens if he just holds on to the puck and cycles it in the zone instead of just flipping it up the middle. Like,
yeah, I don't know. It shows you why he's not a defenseman. But that's also Don Cherry's, like, the only thing I agree with Don Cherry is the flipping the puck up the middle. Like, that's the cardinal rule. You just not up the middle. Not up the middle. Not up the middle. Like, whatever you do, not up the middle. So yeah, like I kind of want to wrap that into like John Tavares. Like his season has been weird. He's got the numbers, weird, but like the play itself, there's been times where it's like, John, there's something stanky with your game, dude. Like there's something wrong. Same with Willie, and then Morgan as well. Like it's just like
there are a couple guys that haven't really performed expectations this year, for sure.
BC.
Well, yeah. Well, to be fair, VC, like he's been kind of disappointing, but at the same time, he doesn't have the expectations that those other 3 guys have. He's making $900,000 this year. So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, Tavares. We'll touch on this a little bit later, but yeah, John Tavares is there's something off about him this year. I don't know what it is. Now moving on to that game against Montreal on Saturday. So. That was one of the weirdest games I've ever seen because you saw the Leafs come out flying in the second period, scoring those 2 goals. Matthews conveniently scores to keep his streak alive at the time with 1 second left in the 5-on-3, which conveniently gave the Leafs that second power play to work with. And as a result, noted fucking power play specialist Travis Boyd scores to make it 2-0.
That was Travis so Boyd, weird seeing him on the ice, man. Like it was so weird.
He's been good this year though. I love how I think that's been the Leafs' most underrated signing so far. Like I don't know what it's been about him. He's had a great season, and for league minimum, if I recall correctly, that's what he's making. Like he's had a good season. But anyways, so it's 2-0 Leafs, and then all of a sudden, a couple defensive breakdowns. Leafs surrender a breakaway to Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Naturally, he scores on Fred. And then after that, they fucking rinse and repeat. They do the exact same thing. They gave the puck to Paul Byron. You could argue Freddie should have had that one, but at the same time, I'm sure he wasn't expecting to see 2 breakaways back to back. Just a fucking wet fart defensively. And yeah, that was just nuts. And then
it was 2-0.
It was, yeah. And then
but okay, I gotta call out myself though. I gotta call out myself.
You're in the confession booth. Let's go.
I'm on my knees. So here's the thing. I was kind of rinsing on Fred, but it's not. Those goals aren't his fault. It's just my issue is that he's just bad on breakaways, and it was like, could you just stop one? But look, it was the Leafs' defensive issues. It wasn't Freddie's fault. He didn't throw the puck up the ice and give it to the other team. It wasn't his mistake. It was just he didn't play the breakaways well, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it was
namely the Paul Byron goal.
Because like he was the saving grace as to why the first period, I think it was scoreless, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was the reason why he was scoreless in the first, so I'll give him credit there. And then he made a few really key stops later in the second period, and then in the third as well. So, like, he's a good goalie. It's just like the breakaways in the 5-hole. It's just ugly, and it's on repeat sometimes. And it's like, Fred, I love you, man, but damn it, damn it. Right? Because it made me to the point where I felt like I was coming across like Jeff Morris a little bit. Like I was just punching fists through drywall and I was threatening to beat up Habs fans kind of thing. But no,
sort of in a way,
tongue in cheek. But yeah, I don't know. Like it was just kind of frustrating. Like it was like Another breakaway given up. It wasn't his fault, but it was just annoying to see. That's what
it was. Yeah, I understand that. And you know what? You have a point there. Freddie Anderson does need to be better on breakaways, but at the same time, he shouldn't have to expect 2 breakaways back to back after 2 fucking goals from the Leafs.
No.
And the Leafs did come back after that. Mitch Marner scored a pretty goal, and then Austin Matthews scored yet again. Yeah. And the one part of that game that I want to touch on again. Exactly. The one part of that game that I want to touch on again is the whole pushing Carey Price's pad into the net debacle that took place.
Fred's pad.
No. That was... Oh, sorry. Yeah, Fred's pad. Jesus Christ.
It's okay.
Sorry. I'm wine drunk, guys. No.
Oh, look at me. I'm so wasted.
Oh, my God. Did you hear about what Deborah in accounting said?
I'm drinking 3 White Claws this afternoon.
I feel like we're mocking 2 different people here.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like you're mocking 23-year-old Becky in the nursing program at McMaster. I feel like I'm mocking 45-year-old Janice in accounting at fucking Dunder Mifflin.
Okay.
Anyways,
wait, what? Janice?
No, not Jan. I shouldn't have said Dunder Mifflin because that's we know who's in accounting at Dunder Mifflin. Anyways, we are fucking before we pull a Joe Woodward and get way too off track here.
We're going into the pits of outer space on this one, fellas.
I'm off on another tangent, guys. I'm sorry.
This little maneuver is going to take us off the beaten path.
Quick Cole's notes here for the people listening. Joe Woodward is a professor of ours that is known for going off on tangents, and his
Let's preface it. He's a very nice man.
Yes, very nice man. He just goes off
on
tangents.
Holy shit.
Anyways, before we scare too many people away with our Joe Woodward and tangent talks, yes, so you're right. It was Fred's pad. I think if I recall correctly, it was Jesperi Kotkaniemi again who pushed Freddie's pad in. And if you recall, the game against Ottawa on, I believe, it was either Wednesday or Thursday.
Monday.
No, it wasn't Monday. It was one of the games that they won where Joe Thornton.
Oh, Wednesday then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wednesday.
When Joe Thornton had 2 goals called back, and one of them was called back because he pushed Murray's pad into the net. I'm pretty sure that was the game, one of the games they won, wasn't it?
Hey, so fun fact, the ref that was reffing that Wednesday game also reffed the Saturday game.
Okay. So anyways, yeah.
Talk about transparency there, eh?
Literally. I mean,
consistency.
At least he's being consistent.
As baby shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jesperi Kotkaniemi pushes Freddie's pad.
That's a mouthful, eh?
Yes. Jesperi Kotkaniemi. But I just found it hilarious because that goal never should have been allowed from the start.
No, yeah.
But
no.
I understand the anger of Habs fans because of the way that whole thing unfolded. Because initially they said it was a good goal. They said they didn't push Freddie's pad into the net. And Leaf fans were initially pissed off, and naturally, because he did push his pad into the net, so it shouldn't have been allowed. But it was the way that immediately after Sheldon Keefe called to challenge the goal for goaltender interference. And then the refs looked at the exact same clip again, where they just, not even fucking 10 seconds ago, just said, no, there was no contact with the goalie there. Looked at it again and said, yeah, okay, maybe there was some contact there. Yeah, never mind, goal's off. And we've seen firsthand the lack of consistency from NHL officials this year.
Oh, man.
And if I were a Habs fan in that situation, I would have lost my shit. It's like, okay, sure, maybe that goal couldn't have counted, but don't fucking tell me that it's going to count and then take it away 10 seconds later. I thought that was so funny. Oh my.
Well, because here's the thing though, since that was goalie interference, and since Keefe got the call right, shouldn't the Habs have been charged with the goalie interference, or is that only on the offsides, or is that the delay of game?
What are you talking about? If they were to get should they have been called a penalty for? I'm not what are you asking?
Well, because when teams score a goal and then the goal is called back or challenged by the other team, and that goal is called back, there's a penalty that's handed out.
No,
right?
no. There's no penalty. The only time a penalty is handed out is if a coach tries to challenge something like an offside, and the
okay.
call is reviewed, and it says it's not offside, because then that's the ref's way of saying, well, you just wasted my fucking time. So you're gonna put a guy in the box for 2 minutes now.
2
But
minutes.
yeah, no, if it gets called back for goalie interference, that's not a penalty. It's just, he interfered with the goalie. The goal doesn't count. I feel like that's enough. It'd be insult to injury if they threw a penalty on top of that. Anyways,
no goal and screw you.
Moving on to the Calgary game, and since that was the most recent game, let's get some thoughts on that game from you, Mark.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. I didn't watch it, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't watch it.
Right.
I'll be straight up there. Hutch was in net, and it was like, okay, so we're starting off the night with that. No offense to Hutch, but he's he was supposed to be our third string for a reason. Fourth string. Fourth string.
Initially supposed to be the fourth string goalie, and then Aaron Dell got claimed on waivers by the Devils, where he's played a grand total of 1 game for them. So
yeah. And then Hyman's out, Muzzin's out. So it was like, well, I'd rather spend the night with my girlfriend than be miserable from the Leafs. So
yeah. All right. So having said that, now that
you can tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that you hadn't seen the that you hadn't seen the game. So I'll give you my thoughts, but I have to be transparent with you here.
Yeah, like I saw 10 seconds of it, but not enough.
What were your thoughts on those 10 seconds, Mark?
Very underwhelming. I saw the power play and I was mad.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing you didn't watch. Like I said, I got to be transparent with you here.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the third period.
Okay. Yeah, honestly,
I'm not the type of guy who will just deliberately turn off a game, because I understand that hockey is a wild game and anything can happen. We fucking saw that last Monday against Ottawa. I'm sure there were some Senators fans that turned off the game when it was 5-1 Toronto. Anyways, we're not going to talk anymore about that, because it's just going to piss us off. We've spent enough time dedicating anger to that.
Darkness, my old friend.
But yeah, I mean, there was just this aura surrounding the game where you just knew that it was going to be one of those games for the Leafs, because Calgary appeared to bring prime Mika Kiprusoff out of retirement and gave him a David Riddick jersey, because he was fucking unstoppable. And I feel like Riddick's been like that the last few times he's played against the Leafs. He's just been impossible to solve. And to his credit, he played a great game. He made some impossible stops on Tavares and William Nylander, if I remember correctly.
And then Matthews apparently hit a post too.
He did, yes. I think that was after I turned the game off. But it just, by the time the second period had ended, the Leafs, I don't think I can't remember if they got a shot or not, but either way, they had a 5-on-3 and they couldn't get anything going. They couldn't get anything past Riddick. And it just had this feel around the game, this vibe where it was like, the Leafs were going to lose. And I was okay with that. I wasn't white hot angry or anything, because truth be told, from what I did see, they didn't play that bad of a game. And neither did Calgary. Honestly, the Leafs just couldn't solve David Riddick. So full disclosure, after the second period ended, I turned it off and I played some Mario Kart 8 with my brother. And that was
honestly
fun.
That's better time.
It was a better, I mean, granted, it was just about as stressful as watching a Leaf game, but at the same time, it wasn't something that I was going to go to bed angry about. So from what I heard, though, apparently the third period was the worst out of all of them. Like, the Leafs played a decent first 40 minutes, and then they kind of started to take their foot off the gas when Calgary scored that power play goal to open the period. So truth be told, though, Hutchison was starting, and Hutchison didn't really do that bad given what we expect from him as a third goalie. And the Leafs had all these key injuries. I wasn't really expecting a win heading into the game, and they didn't get the win. So and it was also like, I know you can't really comment on this, but it was the first time that I haven't seen Leafs Twitter in a fucking frenzy after a loss. Leafs Twitter actually seemed pretty level-headed about it. Like, they were like, everyone seemed to kind of be under the impression that, like, okay, third goalie was starting. We had a bunch of key guys injured. It's fine. Move on to the next one.
And it's also Calgary. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I really get annoyed losing to Ottawa and Montreal. Like, those are my two teams. Like, I can't I can't stand it when we lose to them. But like Edmonton, Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg, it doesn't really faze me. Like,
no,
who cares?
Not.
Frig off. Like Boston, Montreal, Ottawa. There's the three teams. Oh my goodness. We lose to them, my night's ruined.
Yeah.
Night's over. That's bad, but still.
No, it's not bad. I'm pretty sure every Leaf fan in history has has shared that same opinion. So,
you know what's funny though is last night was the 1 year anniversary of David Ayres. Did you want to get on to that topic right now, or?
Yeah, we might as well. We might as well. Actually, you know what though? If we're gonna talk, I was just gonna say, if we're gonna talk about the David Ayres game now, I'd like you to start the discussion because you actually had the privilege, if you want to call it that, of being at that game.
Man, okay, so the funny story, what didn't ruin my night, like I'm over the losing to the Zamboni thing. What my highlight of the night was, my cousin's girlfriend was hosting a contest for the tickets to that game, and like it was like a buy-in based rate. Like you give $20 for like 40 tickets, $10 for like 25 for 5, or 5 for doesn't matter. I put in 20 because like screw it, $20 for $200 valued tickets. Come on, that's a no-brainer. So I ended up winning the tickets, and it was like, holy shit, that's great. And then we got some dinner before the game, and that was phenomenal. And then we saw the game. Leafs start losing.
Naturally,
weird,
as
right?
they do.
And it was just a gong show from start to finish because like Mrazek got injured, and then it was like, okay, well, goalie injuries happen, and then James Reimer's injury happened, and it was like, oh, what the heck? Okay, so who's in net now? Mrazek's injured. He was taken out of the game.
Yeah.
And then David Ayres comes in, and it was like, okay, now it's like shark smelling blood. It's time to score. And so
can I interrupt to say that when I was watching that game, I was in at the time I was in BC skiing with my family, and from the minute they brought in David Ayres, I knew the Leafs were going to end up losing that game. I just knew it. I had this feeling in the pit of my stomach. And the other thing that crossed my mind as well was that I knew that whatever happened in the game, the Leafs were not going to come out the winners. And I don't mean like the on paper winners, like getting the win. I mean like regardless of what happened, they were going to get shit on by the media and by the fans, because if the Leafs lose to a Zamboni driver that works for them, if you've seen Steve Dangle's video, you know how fucking embarrassing that is. And we've seen, like, that's the reality. It happened, and we've seen the reaction from the media and the fans and everything. The Leafs are going to be the brunt of the joke for years to come. But then on the other hand, the other part that crossed my mind in that instance was that if the Leafs win that game, if they pepper David Ayres the shots and they score over and over and they end up blowing out the Canes, people are going to call them assholes. They're going to say, wow, they brought in this emergency backup goalie and they just fucking peppered him with shots and they just destroyed him. Like, wow, it's an emergency backup. Like, take it easy on him. So I knew that regardless of what happened, the fans were never, ever going to be like, oh, well, you know what? The Leafs did what they could here. Oh, you know what? It was a hard fought game. You know, the Leafs are just an NHL team playing. Like, no. The opposing media is going to shit on them one way or another. It's just going to be a matter of whether it's out of pity and laughing at them or whether it's going to be a matter of laughing at them or if it's going to be out of pity for Carolina. And like, wow, you guys really had to do them like that. So I knew the Leafs were going to end up losers, even if they won that game. And truth be told, I'm okay with them losing that game. I mean, sure, you know, fans of opposing teams will hear that and they'll be like, well, fuck, of course you're saying that. You lost the game. Like, you know, it bugged you and shit. It's like, of course it bugged me. We lost to a fucking 43-year-old Zamboni driver who works for the team, right? But at the same time, you know, it was a great moment for him. They raised a ton of money for the Easter Seals charity as a result of that game. And the Leafs didn't really deserve to do much in the playoffs or in that season anyways. So I'm okay with it. Like I sure, people will make fun of us for that, but you know how you recover that? You go out and you win a Stanley Cup, and hopefully the Leafs will do that in the next couple of years.
Okay, so here's the thing. I definitely agree with the double-edged sword of like you lose or you win. But here's the thing though. Stanley Cup winning teams don't care who they beat. They just win. And in this case, you shouldn't care about a Zamboni driver's feelings or the media's feelings. You want to win, get the 2 points, qualify for the playoffs, win a cup. Don't care about the players' feelings. Win the damn game, right? And if you can't go for the jugular in that kind of game, you don't deserve to make the playoffs. You don't even deserve to have a sniff at the Stanley Cup. You don't even deserve to make the playoffs. And luckily, for the Leafs' benefit, they didn't, because shit, man, you lost to a Zamboni driver. Why the hell do you deserve to make the playoffs? Right? Yeah. If you can't have a killer instinct in a game like that, what the hell? Like, you don't deserve anything then. And I think Dubas played that deadline perfectly.
Oh, you guys absolutely did.
You guys lost to a Zamboni driver. Why the hell should I add to this team? Mm-hmm. It's your mess now. Get yourselves out of it.
Did you ever hear the story about how the whole Zach Bogosian signing with Tampa Bay went down?
Yeah, it kind of works out well for him,
It did.
He wins a cup because the Leafs lost to the Zamboni driver.
The Leafs had for those that don't know, Zach Bogosian kind of broke. Well,
I guess you could say he broke this on the 31 Thoughts podcast with Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick.
Yeah, we got to provide context.
Exactly. So what happened was the Leafs actually had a contract in place with Zach Bogosian for the rest of the season. And obviously this is before we knew that COVID was going to shut everything down and all. So the Leafs had a contract in place with Bogosian, and they were actually set to announce that contract, I think the next day, because this happened on a Saturday night, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
So the Leafs were going to, they had a contract in place with Bogosian, and they were set to announce his signing. And after the Leafs put up that, as in Mitch Marner's words, the dog shit effort against the Carolina Hurricanes, Kyle Dubas canceled the contract, and he said, "Fuck you guys. You guys don't deserve this defenseman. I'm not improving the team." And so Bogosian went on to win a Stanley Cup with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and now the Leafs have Bogosian. So it worked out perfectly. Honestly, the Leafs definitely didn't deserve to have any pieces added to them at the deadline.
And besides two kind of dog shit games by Bogosian to start the season, he's been pretty solid for the Leafs.
He has not been bad at all. Bogosian's one of those guys who, he's one of those guys where you see, if you don't notice him, it's probably a good thing. And I know he's had potential in the past to be one of those guys who fucking, like, if you do, like, you do notice him, but it's not in a good way. And that obviously happened with Buffalo. But honestly, like, I have been okay with Bogosian this year. He's not a third overall, like, he's not playing like a third overall pick. He's not expected to be playing like a third overall pick. But as a bottom pairing defenseman who's utilized on the penalty kill, I've been completely okay with having him on the back end.
Yeah, he's been fine.
I wouldn't call him. He's probably the weakest defenseman that we have, but it's a good weakest. Like, he's a good sixth defenseman for sure.
Well, weakest in terms of, like, skill, right?
Yeah,
weakest. He's probably the strongest defenseman.
Yeah,
dude's a Gronk.
Yeah, literally weakest in terms of skill and kind of where he racks up on the depth chart. Not in terms of physical capability.
Dude could bench press me.
I want to get your opinion on something here, Mark. Shifting gears a little bit, what do you think the Leafs are going to do with Alex Galchenyuk? Because that's something else we haven't discussed since our last pod.
I was actually reading up about it. They're still waiting to get him acclimated to the team right now, and I think that's probably the smart play. You don't want to rush him, and that's probably the strategy that Montreal should have taken with him.
Maybe.
That's a story for another day.
Yes.
But here's the thing, though. Like, it's a buy low, sell high kind of situation with him. And I was reading into the group chat today. Coleman said that, like, this is the last chance you kind of thing, which in some senses I kind of agree with, but in others I kind of disagree with. Like, Toronto's in the business of winning cups now. We're not a rebuilding team. If you can't make it on a rebuilding team, that's your last chance in the NHL. Because, like, he was playing fourth line minutes on Ottawa, and people are like, he kind of sucks. And why did Toronto pick him up? And it's like, well, no. He's like 2 years away from a 20-goal season or like 40-point season. So, like, he's not a bad forward. He's just been in some bad situations, and he wasn't developed properly. And the unfortunate part right now is he's 26. So there's no ceiling with him anymore. He is what he is. He's a depth level forward. And forwards of all skill, of all age, of all potential go through highs and lows and dips, and we have to take the good from the bad and the bad from the good and say, all right, so what is the correlation from this player? Alex Galchenyuk has skill, but he's not physical enough to be like a Wayne Simmons, and he's not defensively strong enough to be like an Alex Kerfoot, right? So it's like, when he's not scoring, what is he doing for us, right? Like
Exactly.
Travis Boyd, solid. Jason Spezza, solid, right? They have purposes for our team. Pierre Engvall, defensively solid. He's useless offensively. Ilya Mikheyev, he's a bit of a mosquito. No, he's like a housefly, but he defends well. He's physical, right? Like he's a housefly offensively. He's just moving, but with no direction, right? And that's Kerfoot as well. But they serve purposes defensively for us. Galchenyuk, I'm concerned with that, right? Like when he's not scoring, which he doesn't score often, what's he going to do for us?
So here's the thing. I personally think that now is a better time than ever for Galchenyuk to get a look on the Leafs offense, because the reality is VC and Mikheyev are not getting it done on that second line.
No.
Simmons is out for 6 weeks, and
The Leafs are really lacking that presence on the second line to show up and score goals.
and as of now, I'm not saying I disagree with them taking their time with Galchenyuk, because I agree. You don't want to rush him into a situation where he's not going to be comfortable with the system. And you want, I think he's been getting some work in with Barb Underhill. I think he's been working on his own and doing some individual drills with some of the coaches. And I think if I recall correctly today, or I guess yesterday, but we're going back to this TikTok again about podcasters talking about when they're when the podcast was published.
When's
and
this gonna be up again?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be up tomorrow. I don't know yet. Anyways, before I go off on a tangent, so I think if I recall correctly, Tuesday's practice is when he started officially skating with the Leafs. And so I don't think there's any rush to get him into the lineup, but I think when they do get him into the lineup, they got to give him a shot on that second line alongside Tavares and Nylander, because no one else is getting the job done there. And until the Leafs supposedly go out and make this trade for the top six winger, like Elliot Friedman said they're looking to do come the deadline, they really need someone to thrive there, because Tavares has been slow lately. Nylander's been slow lately. And I think Galchenyuk in that position, if you give him some power play minutes and you give him a spot at second line left wing alongside those guys, I think he has potential, maybe not to break out to his 30 goal form like he was in a few years ago, but he's got potential to at least fit in that role until they have an upgrade. And like you said, he doesn't really offer much physically and defensively. So if he doesn't score, he's got a contract that we can bury. And I just want to make a point that I kind of low key called this a little bit. Maybe not called this trade.
Oh yeah,
but I put out a tweet.
Read the tweet, dude.
I put out a tweet after the Sens acquired Dzingel from the Hurricanes for Galchenyuk and Paquette. And my tweet goes like this. I said, bro, trust me, Galchenyuk is good, bro. I know he's on his 17th team, but he's good, bro. I swear he's due to break out, bro. He was the 3rd overall pick, bro. Just wait. I guarantee he's going to find his game, bro. Lo and behold, one day later, the Leafs fucking traded for Galchenyuk. So that's not... And I did mention this on our last podcast. We were going over guys that could fit into that top 6 role, like that winger that the Leafs are looking for. And I mentioned Galchenyuk as a possibility because he's on a Canadian division team and he wouldn't have to quarantine. But I did not think the Leafs were going to pull a trigger for that trade.
Yeah, like freaking Alex Nostradamus Hobson here, right? Like,
no shit.
That was crazy, man. Like stuff like that is always like, how often is Dubas on Twitter, and how often does he actually take tweets like that seriously? Like,
I hope Dubas read my tweet that day. That would be a great honor.
Maybe we should go after that player. Maybe because like honestly though, like I don't know, it's hard to give a lot of fans credit, but like for you, it's like shit. You kind of call that one, but like with Leafs Nation, we just throw shit at a wall. And then all of a sudden one sticks and it's like, I got it. And it's like,
that's what you did with the Jake Muzzin trade a few years ago.
Well, it's just me like throwing monkey shit at a wall.
Yeah, that wasn't a set in stone prediction, but you definitely mentioned Muzzin on multiple occasions. And look at that. They went out and traded for him.
Well, okay. So the one I do call, okay, is Topi Niemela. I call that one. Last January 2020, I was starting to look through the draft because the dog days of the summer in Toronto,
last January.
What? No, like 2020.
Yeah, I know, but then you said the dog days of summer.
I thought, okay. Well, dog days of the summer, dog days of the season. I thought I said dog days of the season.
No, you said dog days of the summer.
Anyways, you know what I mean.
Sorry. Yeah, I just
had to ride you a bit there.
Fucking asshole.
Point in case,
man. I just can't catch a break tonight.
It's all good. It's all good. Anyways.
But yeah, like the Toppy Niemblo one, like I was looking through the draft with David McSween. Shout out to him. He's like the head scout for the Leafs Nation. He asked me, "Hey, who do you think we should get with the second rounder?" And it was like, man, we got to go sloppy toppy. Sloppy toppy. Give me sloppy toppy. Anyways, getting back on track though, because now we're on a Joe Woodward tangent.
Tangent.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to bring your attention to something else. So the Marlies have officially gotten their season underway, and honestly, I'd like to see them call up Joey Anderson and give him a shot, because as of now, there are a select few players on the Leafs that are not producing. Cough, cough, Jimmy Vesey, cough, cough, Pierre Engvall. Cough, like
Jimmy,
a handful of other guys. Yeah.
Who's
Joey
Jimmy?
Anderson.
Jimmy.
Joey Anderson has proven that he can play in the NHL. He plays a Zach Hyman kind of game. And truth be told, this might be a bit of a hot take, but I'd honestly leave Nick Robertson in the minors until the playoffs. Because what that does is that conserves a year of his entry-level contract. And between the potential of a top 6 forward that they're pursuing and eventually getting Wayne Simmons back, I don't think there is a dire need for Nick Robertson. Well, I've got the hiccups brutally right now. I don't think there is a dire need for Nick Robertson on the team, especially once they get Galchenyuk in there and they give him a look, and eventually they're like, who knows, they'll potentially look for that top 6 forward. I think a year in the AHL for Nick Robertson in a season where he typically wouldn't get to play in the AHL because of the whole CHL-AHL agreement, I think it would be smart to leave Nick Robertson down there and then call him up in the playoffs. It's not like he's their only option to call up in the minors. Like I said, I think Joey Anderson would be a great call up for this year. But yeah, I'd leave Nick Robertson in the minors personally.
Yeah, honestly, I know this is weird, but like I don't normally like agreeing on our show, but like Joey Anderson really is the only one that I'd have to agree with in terms of calling up, because like you look at Timothy Liljegren, he's getting played 20 minutes a night. Mm-hmm. And he's just not going to get that with the Leafs. He's simply not. Like, no matter who's injured, he's not getting valuable ice time with the Leafs. And with a position and a depth need that important, you can't afford to just say, all right, 10 minutes a night, 8 minutes, 7 minutes. And it's like, he learns nothing. Yeah, right,
exactly.
And then
you'd rather have him playing over
Shen him either, right? Like
you'd rather have him playing north of 20 minutes a night on the top line, top power play unit in the AHL,
getting every situational ice time you can.
I will say that heading into next season, Nick Robertson, I think, is going to be a regular member of the Leafs.
Yeah.
I'd prefer to have him in the AHL for this year, since it's a bit of a shortened season. The Leafs aren't in dire need of a guy like him. They're fucking first in the entire NHL. Like it's not like their season hinges on whether or not they call up Nick Robertson. Like
no, and
they
and
can
a lot
afford
of
to leave
fans
him in
are
the
like,
minors.
we gotta call him up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, get your pitchforks. Fuck off. Like
so. Speaking of that mystery forward that we've talked about a few times, another development I want to make is that I believe last episode we talked about who this potential mystery forward that Elliot Friedman mentioned was. And I think among the names we brought up were Alex Galchenyuk, Kyle Palmieri, Ricard Raquel, and then we mentioned guys like Jake Virtanen or Alex Galchenyuk. Now, Galchenyuk was not the mystery forward. Yeah, your guy, Jordan Greenway. That's true. So they did end up acquiring Galchenyuk, but it's obvious that he was not the guy that Elliot Friedman circled on his piece of paper. That guy, as he revealed in his 31 Thoughts piece, turned out to be the Nashville Predators' Michael Granlund. And so Michael Granlund's got 7 points in 14 games so far, and if I recall correctly, he's only 2 years removed from a 60-point season. So do you think this is a trade the Leafs could make?
Okay, so here's the thing. Like he's a skilled forward and he would benefit John Tavares, but John Tavares has William Nylander. So what does that do to William Nylander? Or what does that do to Granlund? Because that means there's kind of too much of the same thing on that second line. So you need to get another balance going on that second line. Like, so does that mean you trade out Nylander now, or do you keep Granlund on the third line? Granlund is an interesting player because he's a UFA after the season, I believe, right? Like his contract. What's his contract? Like $3.25 million for
Michael
this year.
Granlund?
Yeah.
I am pulling up Cap Friendly as we speak.
So here's the thing,
I am a
though,
terrible podcaster and I don't have my information in front of me.
I just wonder, like, what is his fit with Toronto? Because it's clear the Matthews-Marner duo works. You're not going to split that up. Putting Tavares on that line is a mistake. When Hyman is healthy, Hyman's on that line. I don't care. I'm not putting Granlund in that spot. I don't care. But it's finding that spot for Nylander and Tavares and getting another playmaker for that line. Like Tavares is a hybrid. He's got a great shot. He's got great hands. Nylander's the same way, but he's more of a playmaker. He's pass first. So I don't see the fit with Granlund. Like it's just more passing and we need scoring. And that sounds weird to say, but like, I don't know. I would rather go after Philip Forsberg, and I know that price tag is higher, but I think it's a little more worth it because he's got another year on the contract at $6 million. And he's more physical, and he's a left wing, and he's just better. I think he's a better fit for Tavares and Nylander because he's got more grit in his game. And I think getting a blue-collar scorer for that line is better than getting another finesse playmaker. I like Granlund. I just don't see the fit on that second line. I would personally probably end up putting him on the third line just to get that third line going. But already that's too much passing. You need some bang and mash and scoring on that line too. So I don't know. It's just weird, man. I don't see the fit with Granlund.
Well, I know you're a guy that likes your physicality, so I understand that.
That makes me sound like Brian Burke, like
a little bit. Your truculence,
testosterone, pugnacity, and it's like, come on, Brian, stop with that, right? Like, just draft Tyler Biggs again. No,
you know what? Here's the thing, though. Like
Jordan Greenway is my guy, though. I think,
yeah, that's fair.
I've got the size goggles on, and I'm all aboard the Jordan train.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. While I understand what you're saying that the Leafs do need a goal scorer on that line rather than someone who like a playmaking skilled forward like Granlund, they do have a goal scorer on that line, and his name is John Tavares.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Like, I think bottom line, whether it's goal scoring or playmaking, they need someone who can drive offense on that line and get those guys going again. And I think Granlund could still fit that role, even though he's more of a playmaker than a goal scorer. I think they just need a guy that fits in offensively on that line. They need another skilled forward. And the Leafs were interested in him in the offseason, but they couldn't make it work money-wise. But now that Nashville's looking to sell, I think I think there's a realistic possibility that they pursue him.
I don't know, man. Like, I want Tavares on the forecheck in front of the net. I don't want him the first guy in on the forecheck because Granlund's not going to forecheck. Nylander, he does the friggin' button hook, so he's not going to forecheck. And then Tavares, like, he's so good around the net. It's like people don't understand or people don't realize how destructive Tavares can be around the net. And you want your best players being your best players, and that means helping them, right? You don't want to try and push John Tavares into being a forechecker. You want him to be right at the net, getting set up from Nylander or the second guy, and that second guy, or the third guy, I should say. You want the third guy being the blue-collar guy. You want him to be the go-getter, right? The pit bull, kind of, like the chaser, the puck chaser. Tavares isn't that. Nylander's not that. Granlund will not be that.
That's fair. You do want a guy like that, but I'm not sure if a guy like Greenway would be feasible for the Leafs to trade for. I feel like Minnesota would demand a lot of money for him.
So?
Or not a lot of money.
He's
sorry.
young.
Well, yeah,
Sign
he's
him.
young, but they've also got Rodion Amirov and Nick Robertson who are going to fill out the top
Trade
6
him.
left wing for years
Who
to come.
cares?
No, Mark, enough.
Dude, no.
You love your size.
Hobson, you don't understand, okay? We're in the business to win cups. We're not rebuilding. Amirov might not even be on the Leafs for another 4 or 5 years. Who cares? Trade him. And it's in the Western Conference. If it's Greenway plus, then sure, I would think about it. But if it's like just Greenway for Amirov, yeah, obviously I'm not going to accept that. But when you're in the business to win cups and you need to make your team better now, Jordan Greenway's not past 30 years old. He's 23, 22, 23, doesn't matter. He's 6'6", 22. Why not? Why not? You know, Granlund's not going to fit that second line. He's just not. I don't care what you say. I'm going to disagree on that.
That's
one,
fair.
man.
That's fair. Having said that, okay, yeah, we can move on. We're clearly not going to move anywhere from here, but
it's going to turn into just a pissing contest now.
Exactly.
You're an idiot.
A dick measuring contest.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that article that Katie Strang put out. So, for those that don't know, Katie Strang dropped what was probably the biggest bombshell article of the entire year. She essentially just fucking ripped apart the Arizona Coyotes. Everything from their draft combine scandal to the whole Mitchell Miller situation, which we discussed on the pod a couple episodes ago, to not paying guys their signing bonuses, to an apparent toxic work environment after consulting both current and former employees. And honestly, man, it was a ballsy article to write, but wow, that was some of the best journalism I have ever seen. I don't know if you read the article, but it was, if you have an Athletic subscription, I definitely recommend reading it because it was just fucking awesome. And so, truth be told, it was a good piece for her to write because the Coyotes have done nothing positive for their organization in the past couple years. Like, I mean, truthfully, they haven't done anything positive for their organization ever since they became a fucking team. But namely, in the past couple of years, since the new ownership the new ownership took over, things were looking up initially, but they just, Mark, you have like your disagreeing face on right now. What's going on here?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying the Coyotes are a fucking joke.
Okay. Sorry, I misread that look. I guess you have your cringe face. You have a similar cringe face to your disagreeing face.
If I disagree with something, I'll say no.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
But anyways, continue.
No, that was more or less everything I had to say. Just the Coyotes when their new ownership group took over, things started looking up because Xavier Gutierrez and I forget what the fucking CEO's or the CEO's name is. I gotta do this again. Sorry, I'm a terrible Alex something.
Oh shit, yeah.
Alex Marullo. Yes, I apologize. Alex Marullo and Xavier Gutierrez, when they took over, they were named to the diversity committee for their organization, and things started looking up. It looked like the Coyotes finally had good ownership, but everything has just fucking spiraled from there. And one of the main points she mentioned in the article is that they're trying to run the Coyotes like they would run like a restaurant chain. And just the way that they've been treating their employees and just the way they've responded to certain situations. Like, imagine how tough of a look that was.
Well, Hobson, you have experience working in a restaurant chain.
Yes, but A&W wasn't a talk. to clarify, I worked at A&W part-time in grade 12, and that wasn't really a toxic work environment. I mean, sure, it's a big name. It's a big name company, but I've got no beef with the fucking higher-ups at A&W. They're fine. But anyways, everything just looked terrible because you look back to June, when there was that was when the draft, like the 2020 draft was initially supposed to be, and the Coyotes had their meeting, and Mitchell Miller's name came up in conversation. And at that time, that was when John Chayka was still with the team. And if I recall correctly, I think they had a different group looking at a different ownership team. And they circled Mitchell Miller's name and they said, we're not taking this guy because of his history with bullying and mentally torturing and almost physically torturing a black disabled teammate. This guy is going to have too much weight carrying with him, and we're not going to support a guy like this. So they circled him and they said, this is not our guy. So imagine how bad of a look it is when a couple months later they select him and they try to play it off as, oh, well, you know what? He's a very skilled individual and it was an unfortunate incident. Yeah, not mincing words there at all. Unfortunate incident. And they play it off as they're going to try and work with him and try and make him into a better person. But with all the public outcry within almost 24 hours after they drafted him, within almost 24 hours after they drafted him, they said that they were, not after they drafted him, sorry, but within 24 hours after them releasing that statement, which I think was a couple weeks after the draft, they decided that they got all that backlash and they decided that they would cut ties with them. And that's just
the whole hockey world doesn't like us anymore.
That was just a terrible look for the organization. Just a fucking terrible look.
So, man, I don't get it. Like, I think you would think, like, if the NHL has to step in and start owning a team themselves, that's probably the first sign of relocation. But Gary says no, because Arizona is his love child and it produced Austin Matthews for us. So thank you, Arizona. But what the hell, Gary, right? And it just continues. Like, sometimes you come across people and they're just riddled with drama in their life, right? There's just always one thing that leads to the next with them, and it's like, holy shit, I can't be friends with that person. I gotta cut bait. I think the NHL's gotta cut bait with this, because, like, when you keep holding their hand and saying, no, it'll get better. They're going to be profitable. They produce a lot of fans. They create a lot of money. No. They are the reason why there is a hard cap in the NHL. They continuously lose money. And, is it worth it? The NHL not only owned them for 1 year, they owned them for several. You know how bad that is? Not a single owner that's worth multi-millions of dollars wanted to own the Arizona Coyotes.
No. And you know what? It sucks because I think they really thought they had it with this new Alex Marullo guy and Xavier Gutierrez. They thought that this was going to be the group that eventually pulled the Coyotes out of the rut, but they couldn't do it. I really don't see another way out of this for the Coyotes than to just move the team. I think it's inevitable at this point. They're not making it work in Arizona.
And it's gonna have Gary Bettman kicking and screaming to move a team to Canada. Holy shit. That dude was pissed when Winnipeg got a team. Yeah, he was furious. Yeah, if you saw that press conference introducing the Winnipeg Jets, it's shocking. It's incredible how angry he was about that. And you can't really blame him, because Quebec in 1995, the Canadian dollar wasn't so good. But still, Arizona's losing money. They are the reason why the hard cap is a thing for the NHL, and ownership is a joke. And they literally just released Steve Sullivan. Steve Sullivan? Yeah, Sullivan.
Did they cut ties with him, or did he leave on his own terms?
No, they fired him, I think. Did they fire him?
There's a lot of shady shit going on in Arizona.
I'm search that up. That's I got to know that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they fired him. I think you're right. I think I'm being uncertain about everything I say.
Coyotes fire Steve Sullivan. Yeah, they fired him. Yeah, won't seek replacement. Why the hell? Why? Why won't you? You don't want any other options? It's a boys club in the NHL.
It's weird, man.
What is going on there?
I think the more we try and discuss and dissect Arizona's situation, the more I'm going to start sounding like an idiot, because I really can't. I really don't understand what they're trying to do down.
It's just insanity. I got to look at their draft. Okay, so they've got 2 second-round picks this coming draft. No first rounder, no third rounder. Oh well. But the salary cap, though, how much cap space they got? They got 3.2. But that's because the season's been going on, and they probably have someone on LTIR. this is. Marianosa. He's on their IR.
Of course he is.
Cool. Very good.
All right.
Nice
so
one,
switching gears a little bit right here.
Yeah. Enough of the Coyotes.
A very concerning situation surrounding Artemi Panarin just broke the other day.
Holy shit.
So, for those that don't know, and I'm sure if you're not living under a rock, you've heard of what's going on down there. Or not down there, I guess it's not that far down. But basically,
Artemi Panarin was accused of beating up an 18-year-old girl in Russia back in 2011.
And I'm going to come right out and say that
I don't believe this is the case. In most situations, for something as serious as that, I'd be the first one to say, okay, end this guy's career. Like he's a piece of shit. He's a wife beater. He shouldn't have a job in the NHL.
But in this situation in particular, if you don't remember correctly, sorry, you can cut that part out. If you don't know the backstory of that whole situation with Artemi Panarin,
he posted a picture on his Instagram 3 weeks ago voicing his support
of freeing Vladimir Putin's primary political candidate. So, as we've seen in the past, if you don't like Vladimir Putin will end you.
And the report that this happened came from a political hit piece in Russia.
And the allegation came from Andrei Nazarov, a former coach of his, who fought fans in the stands and knocked out a team doctor. So something tells me this guy's not exactly the most reliable source.
He's got a few screws loose.
And, I truly feel bad for Artemi Panarin because with Russia, it must being a Russian and not supporting Putin must be a fucking nightmare because you can't voice your opinion or you're getting fucked.
Yeah.
And I truly feel bad because the amount of people that I've seen call Artemi Panarin soft is absolutely sickening. People have right away pulled out the arguments like, oh, you're a multi-million-dollar athlete. Of course you're not. You're like, what? Why can't you just fucking play hockey? It's like, buddy, something tells me that if a politician in your native country potentially had your family in danger, you wouldn't necessarily be thinking about hockey. You'd probably be thinking about your family's well-being. There is not a group of people on earth that I can't stand more than the fucking shut up and play crowd. I cannot fucking stand people like that. Because
the worst,
sometimes, sorry, go for it before I get off the rails.
The worst I saw, the Rangers released that statement like minutes after the allegations were leaked by Brooksy. There were people in the reply saying, oh, you couldn't do something sooner about Keandre Miller? And it's like, oh, it's so tone deaf. Shut the hell up about that. Mm-hmm. This is someone's family. So, anyways, back to your point, know what? Though.
It's just, I was just going to say, like, the shut up and play crowd have to be the most fucking tone-deaf people, most tone-deaf group of sports fans ever. Because whether it's something serious like this, where a guy's family could potentially be in danger, or it's a guy voicing his political opinion, I don't give a shit what you think about these guys. They're humans.
Yep.
These guys are human beings. Their fucking paychecks do not define who they are as people. They're not fucking robots that you pay to watch on the ice who don't have any sort of feelings. They have just as much of a right to a political opinion and to a platform and a choice and a right to voice their opinions on that platform as Joe down the street who works as a drywaller does. It pisses me off. Like, this guy's family's potentially in danger, and these fans have the audacity to say, "What? Get back to playing hockey. Fuck your family." It's like, shut up. Like,
yeah.
No one gives a fuck if you don't watch the team.
It's the same fans for the BLM movement this past summer with the playoffs and the bubble. Like, the players would like be kneeling for the anthem, and people were like, politics in hockey now. I can't watch anymore.
Basic human rights are not politics.
See ya. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't give a fuck if you don't watch because of that.
Like, these are people's lives.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Be a humanitarian. Right? Like, it's common sense. Right? So I'm pretty certain it'd be really friggin' hard to play hockey when your family's safety is at stake. Mm. So, and it's really it's scary. It's scary. It's really scary because like the Russian politics, it's serious shit, man.
They've got a fucking nut job potential dictator posing as a politician over there. It's terrible.
Isn't he kind of like a dictator?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
More or less. Yep.
Okay.
It's brutal.
Holy
we
shit,
should probably mute this or else we're gonna get fucking turf too. Even though we're not
KGB's
even though we're
coming
not
after
Russian.
us.
Yeah, no shit. So one last topic moving on. The week ahead, they play Calgary tomorrow.
Oh no, Jack Eichel. Sorry, I want to talk about the Jack Eichel stuff.
Bring up Jack Eichel.
Oh, right. Dougie. Oh man. I feel bad for this guy. Because like it's like leading down the same path of like Robin Lehner and Ryan O'Reilly, where they just become depressed and they start not liking hockey, and then
Ryan O'Reilly.
What did I say?
No, I'm just bringing up Ryan O'Reilly because O'Reilly was a perfect example. He said that playing in Buffalo literally made him lose interest in hockey.
Oh yeah, and he drove a car through a Timmy's, so That's cool. But anyways, though, like it's like a double-edged sword though, because like the return that Buffalo would get would have to be a king's ransom, but at the same time, within the first 2 years of that trade, they'd be losing it because like, what do you get back from a Jack Eichel trade? Mm-hmm. What the hell do you get back from that?
You know what? If Buffalo gets to the point where they have to trade Jack Eichel, that's going to be the most pathetic display of star management I've ever seen. Because realistically, Buffalo are the Edmonton Oilers of the East. They've been rebuilding since like 2011, and getting Jack Eichel was supposed to help their rebuild turn around. It was supposed to put their rebuild into fucking X Games mode and kickstart it and eventually make them into a playoff team. I thought we were going to get a legitimate Toronto Buffalo rivalry over the past couple of years because of that. And the fact that 5 years later, they're still a bottom feeder team. Like, do you know how bad of a look that is when you have the opportunity to draft a franchise center like Jack Eichel, and now there's all of a sudden talk about potentially trading him? Like, I don't give a shit what your situation is. If you trade Jack Eichel, you're losing it. Even if you like, because there's not going to be a situation where you can get like multiple prospects like Jack Eichel in return. And sure, they get a fucking awesome haul of picks and prospects, but like, what's that going to do for them? That's just going to ensure that they're rebuilding for another couple of years. Like, if I'm Kevin Adams, I want this team contending right now, not to take the Brian Burke approach of things and just fucking sell the entire farm for talent. They've already paid their dues drafting their own talent. So that's not a problem anymore. They need to find a way without trading Jack Eichel to make the playoffs. And I understand that's going to be hard to do in the Atlantic Division when you got Toronto, Boston, and Tampa Bay, and now Florida to worry about. But man, like trading Jack Eichel is not the way to go. Like, it's not often you get a prospect like him, or he's definitely not a prospect anymore. But it's not often you draft a guy like him. So I don't see any way where they're not going to end up losing this if they do trade him.
Well, and they find themselves tied for last place, in which they are last place in their division. They're 6-8-2, and there's only 4 teams that make the playoffs, and they are they're 7 points behind that 4th spot. Mm-hmm. And yeah, sure, you can say, oh, but it's early in the season. Yeah, but like, have you looked at what their depth is? Can you name their third line? Can you name their second pairing of defense? There's Dahlin, Ristolainen, and they just lost Jake McCabe for the season.
Is Ristolainen even playing right now? I remember he had COVID. I remember seeing something a few days ago about how he is playing.
I think he is. Yeah, and like they literally just healthy scratched Jeff Skinner. Mm-hmm. Noted $9 million cap hit.
That really makes me sad because I love Jeff Skinner. He played for the Kitchener Rangers and he was absolutely gross when he was here. And to answer your question, Mark, no, Ristolainen's not playing. He hasn't played a game since January 31st.
Oh, okay.
No, because he was part of the Sabres that had the COVID he was on the COVID protocol list, and I remember reading something about him the other day where he's like still feeling the effects of it. So
right, okay,
yeah, it's tough to see for him. But yeah, either way.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. That whole Taylor Hall thing, like he signed 1 year for $8 million. I think, I know this is kind of off the wall, off the cuff. I think the mystery winger for the Leafs is Taylor Hall.
That's a hot take, especially since Elliot Friedman already confirmed that it was Granlund. But
oh yeah, he did.
he did. Yeah.
He did?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah. He did.
Shit. Okay.
In his
never mind.
31 thoughts piece. Sorry, I didn't mean to fucking expose you like that, just like that. But
no, that's
yeah.
okay. No, I deserve that. I deserve that. I'll keep that part in the show.
Okay. Okay. Up to you.
That actually, okay, never mind. Because that would have been actually perfect for the Leafs. Taylor Hall would have been sick beside Tavares and Nylander.
Yeah, but where did they get the fucking cap? Well, like, what kind of cap do they move out to make that work, right?
Kerfoot.
Yeah, but then that's still $5 million over the cap, right?
Retain 50% on Taylor Hall and call it a day.
Pay Taylor Hall to play for Toronto. Anyways, so taking a quick look at the week ahead, they play Calgary tomorrow, and honestly, maybe a bit of a hot take on my part here, but I would consider starting Joseph Woll on Wednesday. And the reason I say that is because you're pretty comfortably in first place, and I don't really want the Leafs to give Hutch the Freddie treatment where he's playing every single game until one of those other two guys come back. The Leafs are comfortably in first place, like I said, so why not throw Joseph Woll a bone and see what you have in him? Who knows? Maybe there's an Andrew Hammond situation there. I don't think that's the case, but at the same time, I think they could afford to play him, especially against a team like Calgary, who's like, they're not really one of the Leafs' main threats right now. I wouldn't play Woll against Montreal. I probably wouldn't play him against Edmonton or Winnipeg, but Calgary, you could probably afford to start him for one game and just see what you have in him, right? Hutchinson started, he started 2 of the last 3 games. Like, he's the third goalie. I don't really want him playing over and over and over. Why not give Joseph Woll a shot? Just see what you have.
Well, and here's the other thing. The Leafs are 11 points up on Calgary for that like final playoff spot. You can afford to do a game like that. I definitely agree. And that's not even supposed to be like a slap in the face to Calgary. Like, you can't really say like, oh, they're giving them the 4th string goalie treatment. It's like, well, no, they just want to give Fred an extra bit of rest. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they've got Calgary Wednesday, and then they've got to slow Edmonton down on Saturday. Edmonton's actually been on a tear lately. Mike Smith is all of a sudden playing like it's 2009. He's been one of the NHL's best goalies over the past few weeks, and I think if I recall correctly, Edmonton's like 9-1-1 in their past, or like 9-1-0 in their past 10 games or something like that. Like
8-2-0 with a 3-game winning streak.
Yeah, they got to slow Edmonton down on Saturday, and I hope they can find a way to do that.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to stop McDavid. You're just going to be able to slow him down.
Exactly. Slow him down.
Yeah.
All right. So that more or less wraps up this episode. And Mark, I want to bring something to your attention here.
Yeah.
So you know how at the end of every episode of the Shanaclan podcast, we do that thing where we say, hey, if you've been listening till the end, give us a shout and we will shout you out on the show. So I'm going to take full responsibility in saying that this entire time we have had a listener that's listened to every single show till the end. And it just hasn't even crossed my mind. And maybe it's because the guy in question here is basically 105 years old and he doesn't have a Twitter account. And I was expecting to see tweets from people saying I reached the end of the show. But yeah, we do have someone who's been listening to the show every week. And I feel like it's I feel like it's time to shout him out officially. So with that said, Mr. Sean Galena, former coworker of mine, Smooth Penis Galenas, is affectionately known by his coworkers because he's bald.
Nice.
He is an angry Italian guy.
Chrome
Dome. He's an angry Italian plumber, and he's an absolute beauty. He's been listening to our show since the very beginning. So Sean, thank you very much for listening to the show and being one of our consistent 4 listeners. We appreciate it.
Thanks to anyone who's been listening. Like, yeah. I really appreciate that.
You guys are the reason that Mark can sleep at night.
Yeah. You are the reason why we can say more than 6 followers now.
You are Mark's melatonin.
You are the reason why I can suck my thumb. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Sean, thank you for listening. You're a beauty. And I hope when you're listening to this tomorrow or today, I guess at work, you'll will have filled that hole in your heart without receiving a shout out. And he kind of just, it was funny because after our last episode, he texted me. He always texts me while he's listening to our show. So I don't know why I only consider this now. He's literally been under my fucking nose for the past like 6 episodes. And I've just completely forgotten about it whenever we've done our episodes. But Last episode, he was like, "Why the fuck do you guys always say you'll shout people out who listen till the very end, but I've never once heard my name called?" And I was like, "Well, that's right." So to Sean, to that, I say, stop being a fucking greatest generation boomer. Stop being a 105-year-old. Make a Twitter account, and you'll hear it more often.
And also donate to Alex Hobson's Polar Dip.
Polar Plunge, close though.
Polar Plunge. Yep.
Mhm.
So I'll link that down below.
That would be great. All
Like,
right.
subscribe, comment.
Thank you very much for listening. We love you. We appreciate you. Go Leafs, go.
See you later,
Leafs,
boys.
NHL
rumors,
prospects,
banter,
and everything in between.
This is the Shanaclan Podcast
with Hobbs and Lugsy.